Hello friends, welcome to Exampur. I hope my voice is audible, screen is visible, everything is set. Please do let me know whether everything is set or not so that I can continue with the session. So guys, today we are going to discuss about the food processing sector, and in that sector you will get to know about different periphery and how this sector play a kind of dominant role in our or we would say the prominent role in our country. What kind of prominent role it play? We are going to talk about that. Like food processing sector we do talk about. It is a kind of linkage. It's a kind of linkage between agriculture and industrial sector. First point, and we can just say this, and we can just consider it as the intermediate stage. Intermediate stage includes cold chain or using the it's being protected or preventing the food resources by using preventing the agricultural resources by using scientific knowledge and technology. Okay, so this would be considered as first point. Food processing industry would be considered in that sense. And next point, if we do talk about this, is one of the best point we can say. Obviously, food processing industry. First, we need to know about the background, what kind of role it is playing in the economy, and why this sector is considered as very, very, very important. We will talk about the contribution. Before going forward, I just want to let you know about one point more, and it can be considered as the major factor, as it is the employment generator. Okay, employment generating sector. As it is labor intensive in nature. And what kind of contribution it play in the economy? That is, third is all about 6% approximately in GDP, 13% approximately agriculture, 6% in agricultural export, we would say exports, and industrial investment, 6% in industrial investment we can talk about. This is the contribution made by food processing sector. Okay, this kind of role has to be played by the food processing sector, as I have already mentioned that this kind of contribution has to be played. Now we are going to look at the present status, what kind of role is to be played, as we are making the consideration of the agricultural product. So we are going to talk about the present status, what kind of state is there in case of food milk, in which we play a very amazing role. So we are the second largest present status. If we do talk about vegetables and fruits, second largest player, largest in livestock, largest in milk. Okay, so this kind of a present status we do have. Okay, so these are the major contribution. Before going forward for the pointers of the food processing units, we just need to know about how privileged we are in case of food processing and what kind of contribution and how it is playing a very prominent role in the economy. First of all, it would be considered as the intermediate stage or the manufacturing unit, which is making the linkage between industrial, like agricultural and industrial sector, and by using the scientific techniques and the technology. Second is all about, it is the labor intensive sector. We can make more and more contribution, and it would be more associated with the agriculture sector also. People would not feel that uncomfortable to shift towards this sector if you are trying to make the exploration or expansion in the base of food processing industry. It is going to be very beneficial for our economy, as we will shift the burden from the agricultural to the intermediate stage. Okay, because this is need to make, like we require to make such kind of significant contribution in this sector in order to upgrade our quality, in order to upgrade our safer side, if we are making more, approximately 13% of the contribution. Okay. Fourth is all about present status. We are playing so good in the fruit and vegetables and fruit, livestock and all. Okay. So this is also coming under the priority sector lending, ease of doing sector we are talking about. Next point we can just put forward. And what kind of important contribution or the remedies we can consider, like what kind of role has to be played by government undertaking related to this sector. Then we'll go for the slides. Government measures. If we do talk about the first factor, priority sector, priority lending sector. From 2050, you have to just make the upgradation in sector. Okay. Next is all about, you need to make upgradation in this side. Okay. Food Safety and Standard Authority of India. In order to upgrade the quality and standards, which would increase the base of ease of doing business. It is also making the contribution in ease of doing business. Okay. So this is all about the settlements. And if we are making concern with the, like as we are doing talking about the ease of doing business, it is making somewhere contribution in the exports also. It is making relevance with the FDI. That is on 100% basis. And through the automatic route. Through the automatic route. Automatic means no prior approval is required. I hope no prior approval is required in this format. Okay. So this is all about, first is linkage between intermediate stage we have already talked about, then we have uh, uh, gone for the labor intensive technique which is need of our in current scenario. Third is all about the contribution made by the food processing sector. And fourth is about the present status, what kind of role we play in livestock and the food. Government measures, what kind of measures has to be undertaken. Like we have also extended the base in terms of a priority lending sector so that credit could become easily accessible. Third is about the safe and standard authority of India. If you are becoming so compliant, which is standardized in global scenario, it would become easier for you to make export in the countries. And if you do talk about the food, like foreign direct investment, it is available on 100% basis. That is through the automatic route. There is two kind of route. That is first is automatic. Second is government approval. You are required to take the approval from government and RBI. No prior such approval is required in case of FDI of the food processing industry. If you want to indulge in such kind of investment, like foreign industries wants to indulge in such kind of investment, it is okay from their side. Next is about, if I would talk about the NABARD. NABARD, they have given the credit provisions to open up mega food parks, mega food park to upgrade this sector. Obviously, NABARD is working for the agricultural sector. It is also creating the kind of provisions of 200, approximately 2,000 crore has been allocated for this perspective, just to open up the mega parks and the design food parks so that this sector could get upgraded. Okay. So before going forward, I just want to let you know about the Exampur app. So please do not forget to download it. You need to get registered. Under this app so that you can take the free advantages or benefits available on the same app. What you are just required to do, that is just to explore it and just to have the access of this app so that you can just have a glance of current affairs and the various question papers relevant to the batches available on the app. So next, what kind of answer could be asked in the food processing industry, as we have already talked about it, but now we are going to discuss on the elaborate the policy taken by the government of India to meet the challenges of food processing industry. Now on, we have just only discussed about the present state, what kind of contribution, why it is playing the prominent role in our country. And next we have moved forward towards the measures undertaken by the government. Okay. Now we are going to just look at the possibilities or issues we are currently facing with respect to food processing sectors. So food processing industry is considered as a sunrise sector. Sunrise, why we are just taking it as the sunrise sector? Why we are just taking it as the sunrise sector? Just because it is need of our, it is going to establish the equality as it is labor intensive in nature. Okay, and manufacturing based unit. Based connecting units. Between agriculture and industry. Okay, so sunrise sector and is enormous significant vital linkage and the synergies we are talking about. Obviously, we have to make the upgradations in the segments and that promotes the two pillars, as it is the connecting units between agriculture and the industry. If we are making upgradation in this, it is going to make contribution in both the sides. Okay, if we are making investment at a place and which is making contribution in both the sides, it is going to be a kind of very efficient point with respect to the economy. Next, if we will consider the food processing industry is struggling. Why is it so? As we are not at all good, like we are somewhere lagging behind in case of supply chain. If we do talk about, at times I have told you many times when I have discussed or I have taught you regarding the agricultural sector, what I have just made you associated with the agriculture perspective. Agriculture perspective, if I do talk about, in case of agriculture sector, what we can just talk about that in the cold chain or the warehousing facility, which is making the distortion of approximately 2%. And if we are not wasting this 2% resources, it could become the source of earning, as we do not have that much of resources to waste, obviously. Or it would be prevented if we'll have 2% is huge amount. If I do talk about, we are only exporting less than 1% in case of wheat production. Now you can just imagine what kind of distortion or the rotten products we are making. So poor supply chain linkage is one of the major factor which is making the higher cost, wasting the resources and leading to the higher cost. Next bottle chain is all about infrastructural bottleneck, packaging facilities, cold chain transportation cause the significant amount of produced goods getting wasted. As the cold chain require a scientific knowledge or the scientific technology, proper standardization and the grading as per the quality, or we need to become compliant in the norms or code of conduct with respect to that agricultural resources. Whatever kind of temperature and whatever kind of cold chain is required to that specific resources, we have to make them available. Only then that could be prevented. Getting my point? So packaging facilities, this is one of the basic reason things are getting wasted. So we need to make the improvised version on the infrastructure side. If we are making upgradation on this side, it is going to save our resources to the last extent. Okay? It is going to save our resources to the last extent. Next is about India lacks basic standardization. I have told you, if we are not making the compliance with the basic standards. We are not making compliance with the basic standards which has to be followed on international global scenario. Suppose if we are not making only contribution in the food processing, you just need to think about this industry as it is the intermediate stage between agriculture and industry. If we make contribution in it, it is going to make contribution in both the sectors. Number two, it is going to play a very tremendous role in the international horizon. If we export more and more, we would have the possibilities to export more and more, and we can create a kind of specialization domain on the international scenario only when you are following the standardization, only if you are getting compliant with the code of conducts and certification infrastructure. These are the basis on which you can rely on which you can build your trust before the world that yes, you are also compliant with the norm, yes, you are also producing the qualitative products. Then only they can trust on you. Then only they will provide the opportunity to you people to make FDI investments. So, to make the FDIs for that basis. Getting my point? So, we need to create that kind of infrastructure first. Lack of trained human resources. Yes, we need to opt for the scientific knowledge. So, we need to have this sector is not only involving the unskilled or semi-skilled laborers, or it is also indulging the people who are highly scientific in nature. Okay, so we would require that human capital, lack of your training infrastructure due to that specializing training program, due to lagging in this specializing training program, somewhere we are suffering. So in addition, there are challenges: inadequate demand-based innovation, inadequate demand-based and excess of the credit is lagging somewhere. Somewhere we are talking about that we have already allocated 2000 crore rupee to this unit to make the credit available to this segment so that this unit could be upgraded, as this point is the need of all. Proper branding would be required. So, given above mentions, the government has taken the following policies. Earlier, we have only talked about the kind of government measures undertaken. But now we are going to just talk about the Yojana. Ministry of Food Processing Industry is implementing what? Kisan Sampada Yojana. We do talk about this is the comprehensive package. What do you mean by comprehensive package? Means it involves more than the requirement. We are subsuming many of the characters under the one domain. So creation of the modern infrastructure with efficient supply chain management from farm gate to the retail outlet. Farm gate means agriculture to the retail outlet, or expecting to provide big boost to the growth of food processing sector. Next, best return to the farmers and huge employment opportunity in rural area. Reduce the wastage, enhance the export. Like this is considered as the comprehensive package. Why is it so? If we are making the increase in infrastructure, supply chain would be increased automatically. Next, it is going to increase the returns for farmers. Somewhere credibility is there. Increasing the returns, it would push the farmers to increase production. Production would lead to more employment, as it is the labor intensive sector. If we are expanding the base of supply chain and infrastructure, automatically it has to create the employment opportunity as well. Or if the infrastructure is going well, it is going to lead what? Less wastage. If there is less wastage, compliance with norm. Compliance with, what do we mean by compliance with norm? Now, credibility could be established if we are talking about the global scenario, global domain. Reducing the wastage, enhance the export. Yes, I have just told you about. So, compliance with the norm, these are the major steps only. I have told you that we have allocated approximately 2000 crore rupees through the NABARD is going to provide the credit provisions, okay, for this segment, which is going to create the mega food park. Integrated cold chain, we are trying to make the expansion in the preservation of the infrastructure. If we are making exploration in the infrastructure part, that is preserving this the sector. And expansion in the food processing, preservation the capacity. Means supply is going up. Supply would be improved if there would be upgradation in infrastructure scenario. Agro processing cluster scheme for the creation of backward and forward changes. We need to look not only on the forward channels but also the background channels, whether our resources are getting wasted or getting improved. Food safety and standardization. We have to talk about, if we are making the standardization, it is going to build the quality assurance infrastructure. Human resources and institutions. At times we do talk about human resources and institutions. Obviously, in order to manage the infrastructure kind of things, in order to manage the standardization I have talked to you about, and the safety provisions, all has to be managed by human capital. All has to be managed by human capital. Productivity needs to be raised. Wherever we are lagging behind in the training programs, we need to make this problem sorted, and we have to provide the upgraded programs so that they can improve their efficiency and they can just handle such kind of safety and quality provisions, and institutions should work on those perspectives. Next is all about FDI could only be raised 100%. You will get to see the automatic route. As I have told you about that automatic, what do you mean by automatic route? Anybody can make the investment in our country without taking approval. Okay. So 100% we have given the shortage, so that specialization in this domain could be. We are trying to make the ease of doing business. We are making the process simpler for the foreign investors so that they can make investment in our territory and we can learn out of that investment so that we can upgrade our productivity and upgrade our technological advancement through their teaching. Next is about the processed food product export development authority. What just we want to talk about, as I have already mentioned you, that this sector is making contribution 6% in GDP. Okay, it is okay, and 13% in export. Or I have also mentioned this is the connecting point between agriculture or industrial sector. What I just want to let you know about here is, if we are so good at agricultural production, we are the second largest producer of many of the crops, and but still we are in number 9th in case of exporting products. If we are specialized enough in case of agriculture, why we are not able to attain the ranking near to 1, 2, 3? Why we are not able to? Due to the lagging in the productivity domain. Getting my point? So if we are lagging behind the productivity domain, we need to make the construction of standardization where we are lagging behind drastically. Standardization, we need to comply the norms which are associated with the global conduction. Somewhere we need to establish our credibility. How would we determine that? By establishing the infrastructure and the supply chain. We need to allow the foreign investors so that they can make easy access to our territory, and they are making investment. If they are making investment, somewhere they are making contribution towards the technological upgradation. Or if they'll make it, we can explore in the sector, make the compliance in the international domain, and we can just establish our representative outlay for the same sector. After learning the segment, the way we are rocking in the software industry. And this is the need of, these kind of sector is need of our, for the country, for Indian economy. Why is it so? This is using the resources, this is using the factor in which we are abundant. Getting my point? We are so much, we have huge population in our country. We require the factor to upgrade, which is labor intensive in nature. The way China has already accompanied that. China is best in manufacturing sector. China is already huge in population, and it is getting the best is out of the sector which is labor intensive in nature. We require to do such kind of specialization for our country so that population could be absorbed for the economic activities. Okay, so food safety standardization standard authority of India strengthen the food testing infrastructure. Why is it so? This is making the compliance with reference to the global scenario. This is trying to upgrade the credibility. Nobody is going to purchase the food resources, especially food resources. You can understand the point. This is the basic need, and this is the basic survival thing, which has to make required to make it credible before the global scenario, so that you can just present yourself by imposing further norms or by establishing more and more norms, and by making compliant with those norms, establish the credibility assessments by upgrading the existing food testing laboratory and setting up the mobile testing across the country. Okay, so I have already given a kind of glance regarding these things. And Ministry of Food Processing Industry announced a scheme of human resource development. Obviously, we would require more food resources in order to manage the infrastructure facility for degree diploma course, there should be course relevant to this factor, and we should avail the training after that, and in entrepreneurship development program with respect to this unit. Training center should be there and recognized institutions at state and national level. So food processing unit, if we do talk about, so you need to just understand the point. This is the critical point for the growth, and government should focus on the providing adequate impetus to sector. We need to give the major emphasis, priority to this sector. With the correct set of policy implementation, India can grow by leap and bounds, taking India to new position of strength and prosperity of the global economy. Why this is so important? Why this is so important? Prosperity to Indian economy. Using the abundant resources, and factors. Resources, what do we mean by resource? I'm talking about agriculture, and factors, labor intensive. Why this is going to lead the prosperity, I'm just letting you know. Specialization, which is going to raise the supply side. Okay, making the things more inclusive, as it is labor intensive. Inclusive as it is absorbing more labor in economic activity. Okay, so growth and development should provide adequate impetus. Second is how this is going to play the strength and prosperity role in the global economy. This is what I am just telling you about. So I just want to give a glance regarding the same. Food processing industry we have talked about. This is the kind of linkage between agriculture, industrial and intermediate stage, which is providing the scientific knowledge and the technological upgradation in the supply chain. Second is about, this is the labor intensive sector, what a kind of contribution it is making right now. That is, it contributes approximately 6% in growth and 13% in export. We can do much better in this segment, and 6% in the industrial investment. If we are making upgradation in sector, this is going to lead simultaneous growth in agriculture and the industrial part. And it is going to loosen the burden of the agriculture segment as well. Fourth is about present status, vegetables, fruits, second, occupy the second position, largest in livestock and milk. Next is about government measures, priority lending sector we have included in it, so that easy credit could be accessible. Next, we are working on the Food Safety and Standardization Authority of India, so that it could become easier for the foreign direct investment to apply or to get a kind of entry in the Indian domain, as we have already availed the simpler processing by the automatic rule. No prior approval is required under this. Next is about Next is all about NABARD. We have allotted the 2000 crore rupees for the NABARD to open up mega food parks to make the upgradation in this scenario. Do not forget to use the Exampur app in order to take the access of free amenities available on the app. This is considered as the sunrise sector. Need of R as it is the labor intensive and manufacturing based connecting channel between agriculture and the industrial part. Food process we are doing right now, we are just making the talk of concerns. What kind of lagging is there in the system that is related to food processing industry, struggling with the challenges, that is poor supply chain, bottlenecks with respect to infrastructure. Next is about standardization where we do lag, and plus credibility is losing up just because of the standardization we are not able to maintain, because human capital is not at all accessible even. Next is about what kind of program has been established by government. You can just talk about the PM Kisan Sampada Yojana. It's a kind of comprehensive package which is talking not only about the infrastructure, supply chain, returns is going to get upgraded on the basis it would be considered as the push for the farmers. They'll get inclined towards this sector. If they are getting employment opportunity would be generated. Then wastage would get declined. Okay. Next is about the mega food part and the integrated cold chain. This is all about the infrastructure. And in the end, human resources would need to get upgraded. And again, FDI is under the automatic rule. You can just take the entry. We are giving this automatic rule just to have the easiness in order to take the entry. And we need to just make the improvisation in the standardization, so that it would establish the credibility. And HRD is talking about the just to prepare human capital by preparing the course first of all. Second, we need to provide the channel and developmental program so that we can open up the training center. Training center could only be opened up so that when we are making the things developed. And recognized institutions and state national level is very important. And what is our main motive out of the automatic route? Just to avail the facility and just to avail the advantage of the productivities on the efficiencies which other countries do possess. Because our economy is only having lagging in case of productivity of the agricultural outlay. So again guys, do not forget to take the advantages. And prosperity to the global economy and the Indian economy. Why is it so? Using the abundant resources and the factor, because we are using the resources in which we are abundant, we are using the factor in which we are abundant. It is solving both the problems and making ourselves specialized, and it is going to upgrade the production part as we are making the upgradation in the infrastructure. If infrastructure is getting up, if it is getting updated, it is going to raise the standard. Inclusivity, as it is the absorbing more labor in the economic activities. So 6 steps has to be undertaken in order to take the Exampur app. So do not forget to take the advantages out of the app available on the same. So guys, from 9 to 10, this class is only for economics, static portion. And do not forget to attend the session at 12, which is for DNA, and only economic affair would be covered. Affairs would be covered under the daily news analysis. So do not forget to attend the lecture. Thank you so much. Have a great day.